Hello, my name's Marie, and today we're going to talk about mixing guinea pigs. Here at Wood Green, we've been mixing guinea pigs for many years. We offer our guinea pig mixing service, and we obviously rehome many pairs throughout the year as well. Myself, I've actually been either mixing or giving guidance on introducing guinea pigs for almost 20 years now. So I've seen lots of different bonds work, not work, and the sort of behaviours that are really key that you need to be looking out for. Once you understand the behaviour of a guinea pig and also get a rough idea of how to identify some potential good matches, you'll be able to reduce the stress that comes with potentially mixing, reduce any risk to fighting, and also the time length, so that really it cuts out all of the kind of the messy, and hopefully you'll be able to get a nice, quick and happy bonded pair of guinea pigs rather than risking trialing lots of different ones. So first of all, it's really important to consider why a guinea pig needs a companionship. So guinea pigs must live with guinea pigs. They shouldn't be housed with rabbits or any other animals. It is a traditional kind of thinking of guinea pigs with rabbits. However, actually, there's quite a big risk sometimes when the rabbit's hopping to potentially kick out and injure the guinea pig. There is also what people don't tend to think about, because you'll often hear people say that, well, the guinea pigs sit fine together, or they snuggle together fine. A rabbit can live anything between 10 and 12 and sometimes even more years, but they don't make any noises in most cases. They'll occasionally grunt, but a lot of their communication is through movement. For a guinea pig, they do make lots of body movements, but they also are very well known for making all of their loud and different varied noises. And that's how they communicate to each other. So for a rabbit who be listening to this thing high-pitched squealing constantly is actually quite stressful, because a high-pitched squeal, the only time a rabbit would make that noise is when it's in extreme pain or extremely fearful. A guinea pig, a high-pitched squeal and a squeak, we often know, is a happy, hungry guinea pig. So for a guinea pig who's constantly squeaking and nothing's coming back to him, that's actually then also obviously quite a sad thing, because they need to hear other guinea pigs saying that it's safe to go where there might be food, to move around into different tunnels, that there might be predators, that they're feeling relaxed. The way they communicate, there's so many different sounds, but when they're not hearing those noises, that's quite a depressing thing to obviously imagine. And also, obviously, you know, guinea pigs could even, some cases, do 6 or 7 years, sometimes even a little bit longer. So that's a long time for them to not hear any noise. So guinea pigs with guinea pigs, rabbits with rabbits. Now, the best mixes, generally most rescues mix in pairs or in small groups. So the mixes that you can either go for is 2 females, 2 entire females, 2 entire or neutered males, or a neutered / castrated male with 1 or more females. Generally, most rescues and vets won't recommend neutering females, because it is quite a complicated and risky operation. So it's often unnecessary, and most rescues won't opt for it. Males, we will neuter if we find that we can't pair them up with another male guinea pig. Neutering in guinea pigs doesn't affect their behaviour, and so it's really important to remember that if you are you've taken on a pair of young guinea pigs, and say they're now approaching 6 months and they've started to fight, or you've introduced other guinea pigs and they're starting to fight, neutering will not reduce or stop that fighting behaviour. Once that's their character, that's who they are. So it is important that so generally the recommendation is that we only neuter if we need to pair them with a female, because again, whilst it is a routine operation, it does still come with its risks. Guinea pigs are really known for abscessing and becoming poorly through things like fight wounds or even from operations. So we really try to reduce that risk of that needing to be done. So Also, when you're looking at the other types of companionship with them, it's also what you want to think about is generally we'd recommend mixing similar age groups. Because again, that just means that they're at a similar level of behaviour, and also it just means that you're not going to have this sprightly young guinea pig bouncing around, and then a sort of elderly guinea pig who wants to be on a slower motion as well. So you'll also obviously have the kind of piggies, unfortunately, obviously passing away. So if you have them, try to keep them similar age, then generally it won't be such a big gap if you chose not to continue, obviously, getting more guinea pigs. You will sometimes find that some people will recommend pairing a baby with a male adult, but generally male with adult male, but generally we wouldn't recommend this. Whilst it in theory seems like one of the easiest mixes, and they will mix really nicely and quickly together, the adult male will generally mount at the baby, and the baby will follow him around because he thinks he's basically the parent, so he'll squeak locks and they'll follow around nicely, and then they'll feed together, and it at first seems like a really easy and straightforward mix. I would say quite comfortably anything between sort of 6 to 8 out of 10 bonds this way once the baby matures. So anything between sort of 3 months to 6 months, you'll suddenly find that when it's fully grown, he decides that he doesn't actually like that adult male that he's been paired with. And then you'll end up with lots of fights. So the benefit of mixing pairs where they are the same ages, you know what their character is, and also whatever behaviour you get straight away during that mix is what there's going to be, whether they are really bond really quickly and nicely, then you've got to bond straight away. If they fight straight away, they're not going to work. Whereas the kind of baby to male is a bit of a, it makes you feel kind of that it's going to work, but unfortunately in most cases it doesn't. So with regards to neutering the male, generally if you've tried mixing with several other males and you're finding that he is just not going to attack, he's perhaps a very dominant male and is not going to accept other males, then we'd recommend getting your piggy neutered with a guinea pig savvy vet. So it's really important that you always choose a vet that is specialising in guinea pigs. And then once that's done, the general recommendation is to have them separate from any females for up to 3 weeks, because males can, in some cases, it's thought, retain sperm for that amount of time. So it's important that they have that break, 1, to recover and heal, 2, to reduce any risk of potential unwanted pregnancies. So once he's all recovered, then you can obviously consider pairing him with some females. There are some breeds that you want to consider when you are thinking about a new companion for your guinea pig. So for instance, Abyssinians, the kind of Rossetti piggies, they are in most cases quite headstrong piggies. However, you will see a video shortly that he's actually the more submissive piggy. But in most cases, Abyssinians tend to be quite headstrong, so they can be a little bit more tricky to mix. So it's important to try and get the right character balance on there. Whereas piggies such as Texels and even some of the Rexes tend to be a lot more docile and gentle and quite content to mix. I mentioned obviously at the beginning where I said that in most cases we say obviously best pairing being 2 males or 2 females. Females, you could have a big group of females with a castrated male, but in general, the rule is only 2 males. If you try to have 3 or 4 or more, in a lot of cases, they will start fighting as they mature. But there is a very small amount of piggies that sometimes, if they're quite elderly, they're very laid back, Texel boys, Rexes, that will sometimes live in small groups. But that is very far and few between. Your safest bet is always to go for a pair of males, pair of females, or a neutered male and females plus. So as I said, obviously matching the ages, and also then you want to consider the health of the guinea pigs as well. Now I'm going to run just through a couple of other little points that you need to be thinking about before you do the mix, and then we are going to watch around 10 very short little videos of the behaviour that you need to be looking out for during the mix as well. So first of all, before you are going to do any mixes, once you've identified potential piggies that you're going to mix, it's important that you check over their health. So ensuring that they haven't got any signs of parasites or fungal conditions. So really checking through their skin. If you're not sure, make sure you get them checked out by your guinea pig friendly vet, or even asking your local rescue to support you with a check as well. So make sure they're completely fit, healthy, they haven't got any joint problems or really struggling, so they're definitely ready to be mixed. Whilst guinea pig mixing is actually pretty straightforward, and you normally will have an answer within 30 minutes as to whether it's going to be a good mix or a poor mix, it still can obviously come with its stress levels for the guinea pigs. So it's important that they're at their fittest they possibly can be for their age and condition. If your guinea pigs experienced any injuries during the mix, which ideally, hopefully from watching this will give you ideas to watch out behaviour so you don't get any injuries. But if you did spot any injuries, it's really important that, again, you get them checked out by the vets straight away, because as I said, guinea pigs do have a tendency to, their wounds do tend to get infected, unfortunately, so they may well require antibiotics and the wound cleaning professionally. So it is important, even a little bite around the lip, around the face, or sort of on the rump, get it checked out, because it can abscess very, very quickly. So the methods for mixing, and you'll see the sort of setup in the videos I'm going to show for mixing, but generally we go straight for a neutral territory. If we have a guinea pig, so for instance, I can think of a female that we had who was an Abyssinian, and she took quite a few mixes, so we actually with her did a split mix, but generally we do a straight to neutral territory. You really want an area of around 4x4 space. The hutch or your kind of indoor cage bit isn't the best ideal space, because you ideally want a nice big open space you can get to quickly if there were any fights or any troubles at all. And it also prevents them from really trying to create little tiny small kind of territory areas, which again could encourage potential fights as well. So ideally, either do the mix outside on the grass in their run, or if you have a setup, for instance, like the CNC panels, the little cubes, you can build a 4x4 space and have that available for them. Lots and lots of hay, fluffy hay everywhere for them, some nice big piles. With guinea pigs, we know the thing that makes guinea pigs happy is food. So lots and lots of piles of nice fresh grass. I like to kind of sort of say that it's their bonding food. So you want food that's really tasty, nice, either, like I said, fresh picked grass, some fresh plants from the garden, that it really entices them and encourages them to sit together and eat. They often are really good at making friends over food, as we like to sit and have dinner and talking, and so do guinea pigs. So providing that for them will help. With the setup as well, do not add any houses such as like the igloos or houses that only have one entrance. Ideally, the best mix and the best type of enrichment, and you'll see in the video, is the bendy sticks, because they have two ends that are open. So that prevents the guinea pig from sitting in the doorway and becoming really territorial, and it just naturally seems to encourage this angry behaviour. Whereas if they have lots of open spaces but shelter to go to, which they want to do, they can still get that need, but they're less likely to become really angry, and they're more likely to sit together with the shelter. So obviously adding the bendy sticks, they're your best option. You could, if you don't have access to them, cardboard boxes, cut ends out so that you've got at least 2 or 3 exits for them to get through. Not just little round guinea pig hole sizes, nice big arches so they can just move through easily, and you're less likely to get squabbles that way. And then obviously providing them with a bowl or a bottle of water for them, should they want to have a little drink through it. But you'll often find during the mix process, it's all about food, and then lots of squeaking and deciding whether it's going to be friends or not. Now, generally, when it comes to mixing guinea pigs, as I said, they are actually quite straightforward, and you will know some guinea pigs within minutes as to whether they are going to be a good mix or whether they're going to be a bad mix. Certainly, you'll know quickly if it's going to be a no-go. I would say comfortably, in most cases, within 30 minutes to an hour, if you're kind of umming and ahhing, if you're seeing certain behaviours, that you will then know whether they are happy or not. So what I'm going to do is play you a few videos explaining what to look for if the mix is not going to work. And then we'll just look at a couple of videos of mixes where they've worked with you'll see some different mounting behaviours as well, and then obviously hopefully ending on some nice happy piggies. Really, I mean, a lot of us know what signs are of our guinea pigs looking happy. Obviously, the key thing is them eating, nice happy little squeaks when it's food, cuddling and snuggling next to each other, following each other around, very relaxed, content body language. Their fur's all flat and they're generally feeling quite happy. Some mixes, when you go to do them, if they're nice and they're happy and straightforward, you'll just get lots of mounting for sort of 15, 20 minutes, even for the rest of that day, but there won't be any teeth chattering, any mouths open, and the squeaks will all be quite friendly. It'll be quite gentle sort of squeaky noises. You'll see in the videos that I'm going to play you now are a build up to behaviours such as rumbling, opening and yawning of the mouth, teeth chattering, fur up, bottoms being shown, all of these behaviours that are going to lead to eventually big fighting, sort of aggression, injuries, and and quite a lot of stress. So really you want to be looking for these behaviours. If you see them, you know then that you need to be separating. Now, I want to make just one note before I do play the videos, that in around 4 or 5 of the videos I'm going to be playing, it does include a skinny pig, known as the hairless guinea pigs as well. Now, generally, we don't tend to promote these guinea pigs because they are not an easy pet to take on, and whilst obviously some people may feel that they're cute and things like that, they are a really huge commitment, and they do come with a lot of complications and a lot more care with regards to sort of general health and well-being. And obviously it's not a natural thing for them to not have hair, so generally we don't promote them. However, I've chosen to use these videos today because we try to film as many of our mixes as we can, but these ones particularly just showed some really great behaviour that I think it's important that people can see and understand to help them with their guinea pigs. So generally, as I said, we don't actually tend to see too many coming into rescue, but also really we would always encourage you to take on normal short-haired piggies that are less likely to suffer from the sort of different health complaints that guinea pigs do. So next I'm going to be sharing you, first of all, is with a pair of piggies who are meeting for the first time. Now, as I mentioned, food is key. So what we've done here is place lots of grass down. They've got a 4x4 CNC setup, and they've got 2 bendy arches. Now, with most guinea pig mixes, when you first put them down, for the first few seconds, they will pretty much start eating because that's just their natural thing. There's fresh food in front of them. They'll have a little nibble. They'll have a little sniff of their area. So you'll often find you'll have about 3 or 4 minutes of calm. Then you'll start to notice that they will witness each other, and then you'll quickly start to see what behaviour. With a guinea pig mix, in particular of males, but also with females as well, you're always going to have a dominant and a submissive piggy. Ideally, you don't want the piggy to be the submissive one to be absolutely terrified and just hiding and very still, and the other one just being really over dominant. You want a kind of an accepting, happy kind of mix, but be prepared that that's always you're going to see a sort of some mounting, and one being a lot more confident and outgoing, the other one just trying to keep the peace and squeaking and sort of pottering around and eating actually, and generally trying to ignore them. So first one is of the initial introduction and of them sort of just eating and meeting each other for the first time. So this is two entire males, and they've just been placed down. And what we do is we have two members of staff that will place them down exactly the same time, and allow them to just have a little sniff and start nibbling down. The reason why we generally use two is because it just helps us to be able to quickly separate if we needed to. But obviously some rescues and owners, you're only going to be one. So I'll just play that again so you can just see they're ignoring, having a little chew, just having a little eat, but they are aware of each other being there. You'll also note that the white piggy just makes some little gentle sort of low squeaks, and that's just communicating that he is aware of them. He's not currently posing any threat to the other piggy. As it will work out, as I'll show you in the next videos, they tend to be actually are both very dominant piggies. So with these two now, as you can see, one is trying to eat. And that's a really important noise, and I will just play that back in a minute, that you want to be listening out for. So we had some very obvious teeth chattering from both piggies. We'll also start to hear a few little rumbles as well. Teeth chattering, teeth showing is not a good sign. You may occasionally have a very small amount and then it doesn't happen again. But if you are having it for 30 minutes, or you've been brave and decided to continue the mix for a day or 2 days and you're still getting teeth chattering, rumbling, things like that, that is not going to work. It is going to result in fighting. So as you can hear, they've had a little sniff of their location. They're still trying to eat, but they're now kind of aware of each other. They are both dominant males, of which we didn't know with these two straight away whether that was going to be the case. Often, obviously, when you're mixing a hairy and a skinny, you will have to be a little bit cautious anyway. But it turned out that the skinny obviously was just as strong as the strong-willed as the hairy piggy. So I'll just reverse back and play that to you again. So listen for those noises, and also just take note that going into each other's faces is also quite a dominant and a standoff movement, and that's them to really assess who's going to be the bigger pig. A submissive pig wouldn't get right up in their face. They would offer an ear to be licked, or just keep quite low, but they're quite obviously going straight into the face to decide who's going to try and be the bigger pig. So I'll just play that little bit again. So with this next one, it's only a really quick little video, but it's just going to show where the white piggy is trying to make some territory. So he's going to pop in and out of this little house, and he's just rumbling because he wants to say, this is my territory. So you just see it right at the beginning there where he rumbles and he just moves back and forth, and that's a bit of a kind of trying to say that I'm owning this area. Okay, so with this next video, what you're going to see is teeth chattering, but really importantly, and which is what made me choose this video as a demonstration, was yawning. So he's going to really open his mouth and show his teeth. If guinea pigs start to raise their heads up in front of each other and start baring teeth chattering, and you'll also notice with the white-haired guinea pig, his hair is standing up on end and it's fluffed up. That is a key demonstration that they are not happy and they are prepping to fight. Now, obviously, and this is also a really good example of why, unfortunately, skinny pigs, it's not a good thing that they've been bred without hair, because they're not able to show a necessary behavior to the other piggy. Naturally, right now, his hair would also be standing on end, and he would also be able to really fluff himself up, which would make himself bigger. And he potentially would then be more likely to win and to be able to demonstrate that he is the dominant piggy. but because he's been bred with no hair, he's not able to demonstrate this type of communication. So it's a really great example as well, why unfortunately, whilst they may be cute, it's not a good thing that they've been bred like this. So if you watch this carefully, so they'll try to do either face to face, and they'll also do these kind of little side waddles. They're trying to size up to each other, so you can really see his hair is on end there. You can also notice that both their bottoms are looking really big. And again, that is when they're being very dominant, and they're trying to become really territorial. So they'll be urinating, producing the feces, but also they really tend to make their bottoms go quite big. And that, again, that's really just releasing the smells to demonstrate how dominant they are. You can see also he wipes his bottom there, teeth chattering. You can see the white ones, his hair's all standing up quite a bit at the back there. And also, again, just as it finished there, you just notice where the skinny just bent his bottom down, and that was just scent marking on top of the other ones. He's saying, oh, I can see that's your territory, but I'm trying to make this my territory. So again, if he had hair, he would be fluffed up exactly the same as the other piggy. So we'll go on to the next one, which is going to be where one of them attempts to mount, and it's quite quickly a no. Whereas if it's looking like a positive mix, you will have lots of mounting, and the submissive pig will just allow it to happen. Whereas if you've got two dominant piggies trying to mount each other, they will very quickly just won't even entertain the idea of it happening. So he's trying to mount to get on the back there, trying to his side. And you just see that little bottom shuffle, and that's him telling him, don't even consider it. When that's not happening, we are not going to be friends. Lots of rumbling, bottom wiggling. And again, all of this is just really building up. And if you're seeing this very quickly on when you've just introduced guinea pigs, or you're seeing it several days later after they've been mixed well, that is not a good sign, and it isn't going to work. So this one, we're just going to show some bottom sort of wiggling as well. Lots of rumbling there. I think it's looking likely that the white pig is starting to sort of win the situation. Those little squeaks were the skinny just trying to say, okay, but it's not going to back down. Now you'll see with the white one. There you go, really big bottom wiggles. He's really fluffed up, and his bottom's on show, and that is him really trying to be very dominant and territorial. And then also, obviously, the skinny, really, if he had hair, would also be doing the same thing as trying to get in each of his faces. And that's just him just smelling where the other one has urinated. So as you've seen from those videos, we've seen all of the typical behaviours that would be leading up to an aggressive fight. So if you were potentially new to piggy mixing, and those behaviours continue to happen, it's unlikely that those guinea pigs are going to settle down and be in a nice bonded, happy pair. You're most likely going to be needing to visit the vet very quickly. So we would quickly, and at that point we did separate the guinea pigs. and chose that they were not the best matched pair. What we would then do is generally then give them a day or so to settle down if we've got another potential candidate. With all males, we'd always recommend trying at least 3 different males over a period of a week or 2 to see if you can get them paired with another male, because it is possible, and we pair up lots of males over the years, over each year, but it obviously is trial and error. If you have a piggy that is just every mix is showing that type of behaviour, then it's more going to be likely that that piggy is more suited to being neutered and paired with a couple of females, and he will be very happy with his little harem of females that he can walk around and sort of herd them about. Female guinea pigs actually as well, if you keep them in a kind of a group of sort of 3 or more, they are actually often more content having a castrated male with them, because when they're on their own as a group, they tend to be a little bit bickery, but when they have a male with them, it just tends to even out the group a little bit more. So you could either have the castrated male with 1 female or several, depending obviously on your accommodation and finances and vets and things like that as well. So next I'm going to show you is a dominant female. She's been mixed with 3 other females. Currently there isn't a castrated male with these piggies. But it's just a really quick video, and it's just demonstrating how a confident female will often will even do a few little rumbles, but she'll often sit and be quite confident to just lay out in the middle, kind of really stretched out, because she's that confident that she can just rest wherever she wants to. And then you'll often see the more submissive piggies either sitting together or choosing to sort of move off and around. So whilst they're not fighting, they're not necessarily the best paired mix, because they are kind of more tolerating each other. So these guys have lived together okay, but she will sometimes still put her sort of her mark and assert her dominance of the group.
Oh, look at that.
So the black and tan piggy here, she is the dominant, and there's 4 in this group. Now the noises that you could hear there were made from the white piggy, and that was a bit of she's a little bit unsettled. You can just see it was quite a warm day on this day, and they were obviously all out grazing, but the black piggy, she was not really fussed. She decided that was where she was sitting and she was quite happy with it. But the white piggy was a little bit unsettled. So that noise that you can hear is a little bit of I'm okay with it, but I feel a little bit unnerved with it. So be aware to just listen out for those sorts of noises when you have a pair of piggies, because you really want to be hearing lots of the big high-pitched happy squeaks, which I'll show you in a minute. Whereas sometimes when you're hearing a few little kind of uncertain noises, then that is where it isn't always a great mix, but they might be happy to sort of coincide with each other. So the next video I'm going to show you is of a pair of males that did work in the end, and actually by the end of that day they were quite content together. But what I wanted to show with this one is that there is lots of mounting, there's lots of squeaking going on, but there is a clear dominant piggy and a clear submissive piggy, but it's not an aggressive sort of form of dominance towards him. So he's just lots of squeaking, lots of following around, and a lot of mounting on him. Whereas you'll see the submissive piggy is just quite happy eating. He will do lots of kind of the chirruping noise. You'll hear a lot of this kind of noises going on, and that's him just saying, I'm not a threat, I'm not a threat, I'm quite happy to be friends, I'm quite happy to be friends, I'm not a threat, I quite like you. So they did quite a lot of this sort of sitting or being mounted, and that is perfectly normal for a pair of male mix. And then you'll normally find within 30 minutes to an hour they're quite happy having sort of just eating and being near each other. You'll then start to notice you'll still have throughout the day the odd little bit of mounting, but normally by the next day they should be a really happy pair, just quite happy sitting in together, and even that evening they should be choosing to sleep together, and pottering around and following each other, and lots of those happy squeaks again. So this, whilst it looks a little bit intense because obviously there is a lot of mounting, is actually the type of mix that you want to see when you're doing a pair of males, or indeed potentially a pair of females as well. So this is a positive mix that we're looking at next. So the little rumble is okay, and obviously he very much likes the black piggy. The black piggy is the one that's doing the little squeaking. And that's a kind of chirpy, squeaky noise. It's a very kind of, I'm not a threat, I'm quite happy to be your friend. And he's also allowing the Sheltie type piggy to mount him. Whereas you saw with the other two piggies, every time one of them tried to mount the other one, it was a very clear, don't even consider it, do not get on me. Whereas with these two, you'll see he just allows it to keep happening. And it will go on for maybe half an hour, or on and off throughout the day, but then they will bond really nicely and sit and just eat and cuddle together. So we've just seen the two male piggies, obviously one who's dominant, one who's submissive, but the dominant piggy isn't too much. He's just doing the very typical behaviour of a good-looking mix. So they'll do quite a bit of mounting. The submissive one will do lots of kind of happy squeaks, low squeaks, but be also quite content in eating. He's not trying to run away. He's also not trying to hide loads. He's just kind of being there. The dominant piggy will just make sure that he is content that he is going to be in charge. And then normally within 30 minutes or throughout the day, the mounting will get less and less, and you'll find that they're just sitting together, choosing to go in the same little houses and sort of grazing and foraging for food together. So that's a really good sign. So as I've said, generally with guinea pigs, you will see the bad behaviours within the first few minutes. It's very rare that sometimes you might have a pair that do look like they're going to work, and then 2 or 3 days later you might see that behaviour. It occasionally happens, but in most cases you'll see the bad behaviour very, very quickly, react to that, look to separate if it is looking like that. But if it's just the mounting of where we saw with the other pair, quite nice little squeaks following each other around, then continue with it, and you should really, by the end of the day, certainly by the next morning, have a pair of piggies sitting quite happily. If you have chose to mix them in the grass, then obviously ideally start it first thing in the morning so they can be out all day with their little houses, that's the bendy sticks. And then if you are going to be moving them inside, either into your indoor setup, or if you've got a hutch and a shed outside, then what I would suggest is lift some of the hay that you've placed in the sort of mixing zone, the neutral territory, and place that back into the area where they're going to be going to bed, their hutch or their indoor cage. And that just moves over the bonded bedding. So it's got both their smells, and you're not restarting the process. And then that creates their bonded territory whereas where you mixed them, that was neutral. So no guinea pigs had been there before, there was no new smells, and they've started that bond together. So lastly, I'm going to finish on just seeing some nice piggies, just doing nice piggy things, tottering around. They've been living together for quite a few years. All of them were separate single piggies who had lost companions over the years and have been bonded as a small group. And you can just see the dynamics. They're quite content eating, grazing, following each other around and choosing to lay down. So here they are just outside. And as you can see, for the outside setup, it is also about just placing piles of hay, lots of little tunnels for them to move freely between. So they've got plenty of shelters and shade, and also lots of nice, yummy, different types of safe plants of forage. But they're really content. And then lastly, and most importantly, the lovely squeaks that we want to hear, that we all know we hear when we see when the guinea pigs hear a rustly bag. Okay, so hopefully you've kind of got a little bit of an idea of some poor behaviour that you potentially need to separate, but also some lovely behaviour of what you should be seeing. Also, you'll be looking out for, once they are starting to bond, they will sometimes groom each other's faces, little nibbles at the ear, and just be snuggling together as well. But all of those nice happy squeaks, following each other around and cuddling is a really good sign. Hopefully this has given you an idea if you are thinking to mix. If you are unsure, always contact your local rescue centre, because there's hundreds across the UK that can help you out with mixing your guinea pigs. Seek advice from your local guinea pig savvy vet, or indeed, obviously, contact us here at Wood Green, where we'd be more than happy to help as well. Thank you for listening.